concussion lawsuit. Obviously, they're trying to officiate a lot of that stuff out of the game. It was blatant. It was obviously blatant. He has been a constant violator of the rules of that rule. I think he's been fined somewhere around $4 million or something like that. I think he's been suspended 13 times. So obviously, he doesn't get it. Whether or not he should be suspended for the whole year, I'll leave that up to the folks in New York. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. Football is a violent game. It's a gladiator sport. When you're out there, you're running around. Sometimes your emotions get the best of you. You're not thinking, you're reacting.
Okay.
And that's what he did. The guy was not down. Could he went and just put two hands on him? Yeah, but that's not him. That's not who he is. That's never been who he is. And football. A part of the game of football is trying to kill the other person's will. The guy that's across the line of scrimmage from you, you want to destroy that person's will. So anytime they get in that area, when you're talking about a wide receiver or tight end, they're going to be looking for you and not necessarily concentrating on the ball. That can give you an edge in the game. If you're an interior lineman, you want to try to dominate that guy to the point where the guy just quits. That's the mindset that you have as a football player when you step across that white line. Now, I understand, those are our brothers, even though they're on another team. It's a big brotherhood. We go to the middle of the field. We hug each other. We congratulate one another. But during those 60 minutes, we're enemies. And, it's fair game. And you got to keep your head on the swivel. That's one thing we used to always say. Keep your head on the swivel because you don't know where that next hit's coming from. So, I have mixed emotions about it. I looked at the hit. I didn't feel the way that a lot of people are reacting towards the hit. They're trying to, obviously, they want to get rid of that type of stuff from the game now because of the concussion lawsuits they have.
Right.
But I can tell you, I'd much rather somebody hit me in my head than in my knee.
Well, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, let's break this down.
If you tear your ACL, you're out for a year. You get a concussion, you might be out for that game or, a week or two, but you're going to come back. They mess your knee up, you're out for a while. And then you got to go through the rehab process and all that stuff, and none of that's fun.
All right, let me break down a couple of your phrases for a moment, Mel. First of all, kill the will. There's no question that's what they're supposed to do. No debate about that, okay? And, again, like you said, it's a gladiator sport, and it is extremely physical. But I think part of what you're saying with the concussion lawsuits and all these other lawsuits, the NFL does not want any more lawsuits hanging over them if they can completely avoid it. Don't you agree?
That's true, but this lawsuit's done.
Right.
I don't know. This lawsuit's over.
Right.
So they don't have to worry about another type of lawsuit, and they can put stuff in contracts and stuff like that, and they can eliminate this particular lawsuit. It's out there. The information's out there. We know that they held back information, so it's out there now. But again, some of these hits that guys are getting fined for, and I'm not talking about this one here,
right?
But some of them they're difficult to avoid. I mean, it's real hard to avoid. The helmet-to-helmet contact is difficult to avoid. I mean, they were even talking about looking at the play where it was the Rams and Tampa Bay when the guy intercepted the pass, and right at the goal line, a big lineman came and just cleaned up the DB as he was scoring the touchdown. I mean, he took a shot. It's a shot at an area that he could get to. I mean, he's a big guy. And when he came in there and delivered the blow, it was right in the guy's head. And they were talking about, they were going to take a look at that. Now, I don't know if he got fined for that. I don't think he did. I didn't hear anything about it. But it was a vicious hit. It was a vicious hit to the head. Vicious. Probably just as vicious or more vicious than what Vontaze Burfict did.
Yeah, I guess something I'd say about Vontaze Burfict, and we all probably agree on this one, Mel, he's been warned, and he's numerous times at some point or another, when you're really headed to the principal's office, you can head there one more time, and at some point they just get rid of you. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like this guy hasn't been told and warned several times until the NFL said, you know what, Vontaze, if you don't get it not by now, then you're gonna. If you don't get it, then you're gonna sit it, and take away what he does, and all of a sudden maybe he'll get it. How do you like some of those rhymes there, Mel?
Well, they're taking away $4 million of his dollars,
Right.
$4 million of his money. That's a lot of money.
Right.
And if you want to get somebody's attention, you normally hit them where it hurts, and that's in their wallet.
Right.
And
Right.
obviously, it's not bothering him too much because he's still going out there doing it. Now, sometimes there are things that you can do that are just egregious. That there's no place in the game for certain types of behavior. Like you step on a guy's hand or something like that, or you're on the bottom of the pile twisting somebody's ankle. But in the course of a play, I haven't seen all of his plays. Now I know that this one here, you could say it's borderline,
Right.
in my opinion, dirty because he led with his head and
Right.
he hit the guy in the head. So you could say, is it dirty? I don't know. I wouldn't say that it was dirty, but obviously it's something that they don't want to have in the sport.
Well,
Now, if you go and dive at somebody's knee or something like that, or somebody's laying on the ground and you put their helmet in their back,
right.
those things that's what I say is dirty.
Okay, that's fair. I'll just use one word and then we'll move on to the next subject called reputation. His reputation is exactly.
He's got a bad reputation.
Right. Yeah, his reputation has hung him in this case.
Yeah, I mean when he crosses those white lines, he's got bad intentions on his mind. There's no question about it.
Yeah, it becomes psychological, right?
Yeah, well, most of those guys have bad intentions.
Right.
You got to have some. I mean, you can't be all the way sane playing football.
I like the way you said. You got some good ones, Mel. I'm telling you. I'm glad you're back in the rotation. You got to keep coming up with them, man.
If you could do something else, you should be doing it.
Right.
Because it's a tough way to make a living.
Well, you got smart and did a lot of things when you got in the family business and with some of your other business endeavors. But I see your point. I really do. I mean, but reputation, and yet I believe that even after this year, I wouldn't be surprised he still stays in the league either with the Raiders or the Dallas Cowboys. But that's for another day, for another time. So with that said, another trend which I see is becoming more disturbing happens to be about players' demands getting out of control to leave teams, and it's hurting the league. Antonio Brown made a complete idiot out of himself leaving the Raiders, and now I think Jalen Ramsey is certainly trying to orchestrate a situation, get out of Jacksonville. But at what point or another do you think that these demands eventually hurt the league?
The problem is the collective bargaining agreement that we have with the NFL right now favors the owners and not the players. When you have a first-round draft pick, and that's not the case with Antonio Brown, but with the guy down there in Jacksonville, when you're drafted in the first round, the club owns you for 5 years because every first-round contract is a 4-year contract. It's all guaranteed with a 5th-year option.
Right.
So they control you. Before you can ever hit the free agent market, you're going to be under the club's control for 5 years. Then after that, they can franchise you.
Right.
And they can franchise you again. So basically, they can control you for about 7 years before it gets to be too expensive for them to continue to franchise them.
Right, that's true.
So what's happened is, from my understanding, Jacksonville had said that they were not going to either engage in contract talks with Jalen Ramsey, or they were not going to exercise his 5th-year option or something of that nature. So now with him, there's also Tom Coughlin. Is a disconnect between him and Tom Coughlin.
Right.
They're not on the same page. Tom Coughlin is saying things about him publicly that he's not particularly very fond of. Right. And you got to understand that he's not a kid. He's a man.
Right.
With children and a family, and
right.
they see this, and So he's taken on the posture that he has to do what's best for himself and his career.
Right.
You have a short window to play professional football. The last thing he wants to really do is leave his teammates, because those are like his best friends. Mm-hmm. They go to battle with one another. They go to war with each other. That's not what he wants to do. But basically, that's what ownership or what management is forcing him to do. So if he can get out, more power to him. It's a lot more difficult in the NFL than it is in the NBA. Now, Antonio Brown is a totally different situation. I don't condone what he did in any way, shape, form, or fashion. He wanted out of Pittsburgh. He acted up and did whatever he wanted to do, and they finally. Even at the end, the Rooneys went down and talked to him, and they still tried to salvage a relationship. He wanted out of there. Then he goes to Oakland. All of a sudden, he freezes his feet off. His helmet's not, he's unhappy about the helmet.
Right.
And, then they seem to get that straightened away. And then he gets fined. I don't know why he didn't expect to get fined for missing certain things.
Right.
And then he goes off on the general manager. I mean, you can't do that.
No, you can't.
I mean, you can't do that and expect to have a job. So
well,
they got rid of him. Now, I was real surprised. I was very surprised that the Patriots picked him up. I can understand their reason for doing it, but I was very, very surprised, and I was looking forward to seeing how that was going to work out. Yeah. Well, we now know how that worked out. He didn't.
Yeah, it's funny when you talk about his track record with the three organizations he was with. If you can't play for Mike Tomlin and the Rooneys, something's badly wrong. They stayed with him a long time, and I'll bet he wishes he stayed there now. Then again, I don't know what this guy wishes anymore. Mike Mayock, to me, is one of the most credible, and I met Mike before up in Jacksonville when the Buffalo Bills took on the Jaguars up at TIA Bank Stadium, whatever it was called before, but whatever. And Mike Mayock is one of the smartest football minds I have ever seen. And John Gruden is credible. And you're right, you cannot go out there and do what you did to a guy like Mike Mayock. You will never win. He will make sure that the culture with the Raiders is always good. And Gruden knew what he was doing when he was able to land Mayock out of the broadcasting booth. You just don't do that. And, the helmet, the whole thing is just stupid anyways. And I think the only word that'll summarize Brown, if he keeps up with things, he'll be blackballed from the league. And then to take shots at Robert Kraft, to me, I don't know, Mel. You can't get any worse than that trifecta to burn your bridges. Who do you have left? Jerry Jones? And you think Jerry Jones would waste his time? Yes, he's taking on problem children, but this is one that you probably don't want to mess around with. You really don't.
He's out of control. I don't know what's wrong with him, but he's out of control. None of those men deserve that. You can see, obviously, Pittsburgh put up with a lot of stuff because we never saw we saw behavior, but nothing like what they saw in Oakland.
Yeah,
and obviously, however he came into Oakland, they didn't set the right standard there. And you don't want that kind of guy in your locker room. They're trying to rebuild through the draft. You got young people in there. You can't have a guy in there acting a clown like that and doing stuff like that, being disrespectful and just saying whatever he wants to say. And I think Antonio's more interested in being a social media star, so let him be a social media star. But he doesn't understand that his stardom, social media popularity and stardom came from playing football.
That's true. So
he needs to get back to playing football. I've never seen anybody that didn't need $30 million. I've never seen anybody. I've never heard anybody say I have enough money.
You never will.
Jeff Bezos doesn't say I have enough money. Bill Gates, they don't say I have enough money. Everybody needs more money. Everybody wants more money.
Right, that's
he
true.
He doesn't have anywhere near the money of those men.
Right, that's true. Well, so one other thing with Brown before we go, I have two other things to talk about. How does a guy like him, and for that matter, Burfict, manage back in the 70s and 80s when things were really, really rough? Do a lot of the players go ahead and police it themselves by hammering these guys far worse than what they're allowed to do now?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We used to do that all the time when I was in UCLA. They talk about bounty gate.
Right.
We would put bounties on people. They came in there doing things a little certain way, or they were a little dirty, or they're doing something. We would put a bounty on somebody. We'd get in the huddle and we'd say, hey, such. got a bounty on him.
Right.
And as soon as somebody would get him, everybody would look at him and say, look,